Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. I know it's been a little bit since my previous video, but today is August 8th, and in this video I'm going to go over gold, S&P, energy, stocks, and oil, BRK, and Netflix. Yeah, just a few things. Um, just some things I think are interesting and to me look like good opportunity. And of course, nothing in this video is financial advice. Always do your own research. Don't be a bozo. Alrighty. So, first here on gold, I have it on the weekly chart. And if we look back October low of 2025, it held above this. So, um, that's pretty good. Obviously, good area of support, obviously in hindsight now, right? But there's also a trend line here. It broke out of with an engulfing candle this week, right? But there is still some resistance to the upside, and that's around 403 on GLD. And then up here in red is actually a Fibonacci golden pocket. So this will be resistance as well. If and when price does approach it, it could just break through it too. Seen that plenty of times. But this could be potential resistance in this zone. And of course, a 50% retracement from this low of June to the high of January. So that would be a very important level too as well in due time whenever, if ever, gold does approach us or GLD. Um, Now this doesn't to me. I like gold here for like a higher time frame swing, and for me that's multiple months holding a position. That and to me that's what that means. A swing trade. I know some people that means different. Um, Now, looking at the cycles here in the cycles app, it looks very good. I like I said, I really like GLD here. And it found a cycle low, a composite of 232 and 77-day cycle, which are two of the top three, right? 232 day is the first one. So number one cycle. And then the 77 day is the third one. So compositing both of them together. They both troughed in July, which is where gold was basing out, right? And now it's moving up into the end of September. And we see on the cyclic RSI that the red line broke back inside of the blue channel, which is very good. It's added confirmation that this was a good cycle trough here in July, right? Cycle momentum is green, so very good. Um, And this does rise potentially. We don't know what it's going to do to price, but this is showing an upcycle into the end of December 2026. So another few months. Um, and I remember watching Benjamin Cowan's video on gold recently, and I believe it was June or July, for sure July, um, was actually a low period. I think between July and October, like historically for gold, I think in midterm years. And then post midterm years tend to be good too, I think, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. But as of right now, the July through October period could be a nice maybe buying zone and time. Definitely this past couple weeks, right? Few weeks in this bottom base was a good buying zone. Um, but the gold could be choppy a bit, right? Like it could find resistance here soon. Um, but higher time frame, it looks great for the next few months. A high conviction trade, right? Um, if I we're not in a trade on this. I'll probably wait for a daily like pullback because it is approaching resistance. I will not buy it here, right? You don't want to buy at resistance. I'll wait for like a daily pullback, maybe somewhere like 382. There's also a gap here on GLD. Um, but yeah, gold higher time frame looks pretty good. I would just wait for daily pullbacks if not in a position. So ES parallel channel here on the logarithmic chart, monthly time frame. It's getting close to the top of this channel. If this were to do it this month, that would be around like 8150 next month, 8200. So let's just say the lower 8000s could be resistance for the S&P. Just a simple channel here. I'm not looking at really cycles on this right now. I just didn't pull them up. I'm just looking at it just straight TA, no cycles or anything. Uh, it's been resistance in the past multiple times, so I would expect it to be resistance again, right? Until proven otherwise. So the lower 8000s for the S&P could be a solid resistance level. Um, yeah, just very, very simple there. Just wanted to point that out. Netflix, and I'm going through gold, ES, Netflix, a couple of these pretty quickly because I want to get to the energy charts, which to me, in my opinion, are very good. So Netflix here, monthly chart, similar to ES. Is this like a on the logarithmic chart like a bigger channel, right? And Netflix is at the bottom side of this channel. It's also retested 2021 highs, right? And dojied on the monthly time frame. Okay. And I look at market ciphers, stochastic is low, and the momentum waves are starting to try to curve. Now, this is a monthly time frame. It's going to take a few months to confirm a dot, right? Whenever that is. And it could even do something like this where it starts to curve and then it curves back out. And it takes a longer time, much longer time to confirm a green dot. So, as of right now, just looking at price action, looks pretty solid. Retesting the 21 highs and dojiing on the monthly. So we want to see what this looks like over the next couple months, actually. So these gray little boxes here with like the bars and the percent. So going from highs to correction low, right? First one over here, 2004 to 05, 2005. That was, 77% correction, 14 bars, so 14 months. And then over here, which was another correction, a choppy one, not as aggressive as this, but this was 15 bars, 52%, but 15 bars, 14 bars, okay. Another one here, 6 bars, 56%. All right, another one here off of the top channel, right, resistance point, 13 bars, okay, 82%, but you can see like 14, 15 bars, 13, okay, interesting. Similar ballpark, right? Um, Another like time-based correction, I guess, is if you want to call it that. This one was around like 11 bars. You can even extend this. You can even extend this to another two. That would be 13 bars. So however you want to do it, but 11, 13, the other ones here, 13, 14, 15, similar ballpark. Another 6-1 here. Um, you can extend this one too, right? Like, because this was more time based. Another 13 bar one or 14, depends how you want to do it. But just looking at price action history, right? It's another form of patterns, but 6 bars to 14 bars. somewhere in there is where Netflix could finish a correction, if that's a time-based correction or like a more aggressive correction, something like this in 2022, right? Or going back in the past, 2011 to 2012, 04 to 05, um, 6 to like 14 bars roughly, um, seems to be that area or ballpark, whatever you want to say, where a correction could be finished. So just recently, right? It's August 8th. So last month, July, the monthly doji here for July candle, that was 13 bars. So there's a good case that Netflix at $74 where it's at, or if it's going to stay choppy in this area over here, 70s to 60s, is actually a good buy zone potentially, a great value point for a higher time frame hold. Okay, I'm not talking about day trades or anything like that. I don't really do day trading or anything like shorter time frame stuff. Sometimes once in a blue moon, but um, I find it. I found it much more um, profitable to swing trade, take higher time frame trades, be more patient. Um, Higher time frames are much more, hmm, I guess well, I want to say trusting, if, if that's coming out right. But enough of my ranting. So 14 bars, something like that, right? Netflix has done that. And so looking at the cycles, this is a 180-day cycle. It's not the strongest cycle, it's the second one. This one is still clean though, if you look back on it. And by the way, this is the Cycles app from Foundation to Study of Cycles. Phenomenal tool, great people. This finds a low in September 11th. All right, so in September, there could be a low if the low isn't already in. Um, but what would that be? That would be another extra added month, right? So if we go Netflix, is that 13 here? July 14 would be August, and then September would be 15. Okay, it's still rough ballpark of previous, patterns. So Netflix looks pretty interesting here. Definitely going to keep watching this um, over the next, now and over the next few weeks. Also, the cyclic RSI, the red line broke back inside the blue channel. That's a sign that possibly a low is in or getting close to. So yeah, and this is 180 days, 10% of that, so that'd be 18, and that'd be around like end of August. Um, of like a 10% time zone to the left side where a low could also be in or come in, right? So Netflix looks very interesting, and I'm sure sentiment on Netflix. If you go on Twitter, I haven't really, I don't. I'm sure if you just search Netflix right on the tab, you're probably going to see a lot of crap about it. It's another nice sign. Um, Seasonality on Netflix. September is 50-50, going back to 2010 on this, on bar chart. 50-50. It's actually one of the few red months, only the second one, um, going off of seasonality. August isn't bad. We see October picks up 68% chance, almost 67 or 69% chance that closes positive. November is not bad at 56. December 56. January very good, 76%, as well as February. But if we're looking at the seasonality chart, when do you want to be a buyer of Netflix? Potentially this month, August, or July, or September, right?
getting into the latter part of the year and early part of the following year, and that would be 2027. So seasonality kind of tells part of the story too there. All right, so BRK.B, monthly logarithmic chart, just to see it a bit clearer, I guess. Um, so the monthly green dots, right, the lower ones. I'm not talking about the higher level ones on the blue waves, right? The lower ones. When one has confirmed, it takes a few months to for the price action to, like, I guess if you want to say, really get going, like uptrend um, more aggressively, right? And none of these are perfect. You can be a bit selective with this. 4 to 6 bars is something like that. Um, let's just say a quarter or a quarter and a half. It could take to really get like aggressive price action. So right now, the one confirmed in June, and now we're August, right? And let's just hide everything here, and I'm gonna turn off market sec for now. You could still, this is still, you could still put like a box here, and it's not broken out of that yet, right? Um, so, and then when you go to seasonality, right, it could also tell a story potentially. September, one of the few ones that's lower or on the red side, 43% chance or 44% chance of closing positively, right? August is a good month historically, and it's having a good month now, but approaching resistance. Um, but September is less than 50% chance of closing green. So in October, 50-50, and only 0.73% chance average, or 0.73% average. Um, September, October could be a bit choppy for BRK, is what seasonality is showing. And if that's the case, well, the green dots, similar to in the past, these lower green dots, where my cursor is, right? Um, it would follow possibly similar, where it could be a bit more choppy until after, you know, a few or multiple months, however you want to put it, a quarter, quarter and a half, maybe two, until it really gets aggressive price action, right? Like it breaks previous highs or important highs, high levels, right? Um, so that's why I'm looking at BRK. And I'm looking at it now because I want to be prepared. September and October could potentially be a good buying period for BRK.B. So I want to be ready for it. And say there is a drop in September and October. Since I'm prepared and looking at this ahead of time, I'm not going to be scared, right? I'll be ready, right? And if the charts look right, if it's a thesis still, well, it could be a good buy, right? So point level here will be like around 507, right? Not perfect, but a rough area of previous resistance on BRK. It's now broken above that and the previous highs here. The next level really is only the all-time high. So yeah, but getting into September, October, there could be low points, right? Likely higher lows. So another one to keep on the watch list, BRK.B. And I don't have cycles pulled up on this right now, but from what I remember, my computer reset last night, so I lost a bunch of charts. Um, September and October do come in with some cycle troughs, right? Pretty sure I posted it on my Twitter. If I didn't, I'll see if I saved the chart somewhere and post it later on. But BRK, strong looking chart, a lot of potential here. Um, And of course, there's upside targets, but that doesn't matter right now. All right, so I'm going to get into energy now, which I like a lot. So I'm going to start on the U.S. oil chart. Um, so it's starting at the bottom, these smaller cycles, I guess you could just say daily cycles. Going off of the low April 9th, 25 to the low May 5th, 2025. I just started it there. I see a double bottom on the daily. I'm like, okay, let me put some cycles on here and see if it's how well it works. And it's actually not bad. So the next one coming up here is August 19th. So not far away, 11 more days, right? And then I put a bigger cycle in here. Where did I start this one? Okay, that April 8th, and all the way over here to the December low. That also comes August 19th. You could delete this one, make it more clean. But potentially a higher low, or maybe a significant low for US oil, August 19th. Let's see. And, just you guys can look at this yourself. April 9th, 25 to yeah, April 9th, May 5th, 2025. Right. And this looks like a downward channel, right? Typically these could break to the upside, and then also here, maybe falling wedge, right? Type of flag on the daily chart off of a move up. And if it is bullish, this could break out to the upside. Time will tell. I'm going to look at USO, which in my opinion is a better looking chart for oil. And you can really put a box here, right? A range between 154 down to around 102. All right. And in July, beginning of July, found a low at the range low, moved up close to range highs, and now having it looks like a corrective move down, right? Fibonacci support here from this high of July 23rd to the low of July 2nd. This is Fibonacci support, and as of right now, it's holding in it, right? Holding it as support, right? Downward trending on the daily, two taps, so something there. Um, this percentage move up is from the December low to the May high. I just moved it over to the current low of July. And if this is a bullish move and does something similar, it could go around to 190 USO. A fractal here, this is a 5-year cycle. So if you just go back 5 years from the current year, we're in 26, so 2021, or you can do 10 years as well, which would be 2016. You could do 20, 30, so on and so forth, right? Test it out for yourself, and you'll be pleasantly surprised how well it actually works or rhymes, however you want to say, right, to current price action. Um, this one isn't as clean as some, but not bad. But there's some confluence here. August 17th ish, August 18th, showing a low in the 5-year cycle, and on the U.S. oil chart, like a daily cycle, shows August 19th as a potential low. So pretty interesting, right? And 5-year cycle goes up into October on this, right? So interesting there. And now I'm going to look at the cycles on USO, and this is a strong cycle. So number one, it's at 0.71 stability, a strength of 506, and amplitude of 509. Very solid cycle there. That's why it's number one. And looking back, it is a very solid cycle again. This troughs at the end of August. That doesn't mean a new low has to come in the August or the end of August. Okay, it could. I'm not sure, but it's in a cycle trough zone, USO, and maybe a low came in early in July, right? If we look at cycle momentum here at the bottom, the red and the green, going off of the July low, right? The momentum is forming a bullish divergence potentially if it starts to find a low here, USO, right? There's a higher high, that would be a higher high on the price, a lower low on cycle momentum, and cyclic RSI is still inside the blue channel, right? While it's in a cycle troughing zone. And this starts to point up into the end of December. Okay? So there could be another bullish wave for USO over the coming months, right, into the end of the year, which is interesting. Because that could potentially be bearish for markets. And let's say ES hits the top side of this channel, right, the lower 8,000s, it does find a resistance there, and maybe USO is starting to turn up. You know, it looks like a puzzle piece, right? I'm just trying to put it together the best we can. Just ideas, different scenarios. Got to always be ready and prepared. All right, so that's USO. I'm going to look at PBR now. So I'm going to go to the monthly chart actually on this, and very simple chart here. I'm not going to, the cycles are similar to a lot of these energy stocks I'm going to look at. They're all going to be very similar. They're going to follow each other. They're all approaching or have approached cycle lows, or potential cycle lows. We don't know if they're lows yet, right? But they're in a cycle trough area, right? If it's going to work. So I'm not going to pull up a bunch of different cycles. They're all going to show pretty much the same exact thing, right? But price action is where things could differ. So we have a different formation here. PBR, monthly chart, right? 16 bucks has been 16 to 18 bucks has been an area of resistance for multiple years, right? For a long time. And in June, it back tested that after breaking out above 16 to $18 and breaking above these, multi-year highs, 24 to 2019, and even broke above the 2014 high. So to me, this is a pretty strong chart looking chart, right? A lot of potential here off of a monthly back test. And last month, actually, right, the July, it engulfed the June month. Okay. So, and that on closing basis, it's pretty good. Now, we're early August. It's having a little corrective move here, but overall, this is a pretty interesting looking chart off of a monthly back test. Um, yeah, that's really it for this chart. I mean, if this low holds, right, the next level is really around like 30, $31, right, somewhere around there. Um, yeah, and actually, let me show you something really interesting as well. So the cycle fractals that I pull, 5 years, 10 years, 20, so on and so forth. I'm going to do a 20-year one here. So, and I'm actually going to go to the weekly chart, not the monthly, so you can see a bit more. So I'll go back to 2006, the beginning of '06, January 3rd, 2006. We can go into, oh wait, right, another year. Change this color to blue. I just like blue, it's my favorite color. Oh my goodness. Go, smoother, but alrighty. So cycles, right? These cycle fractals are not about price. Yeah, it's about time, right? Cycles are about time, not price. So starting this at the beginning of this year, 20 years, 20-year cycle. Um, it's not perfect, but it's also not bad. Right, it's pretty decent. So yes, this is showing a sort of high August 10th, right next week, with a low that comes in the end of September. And then after that low, it really starts to trend up, right, into the end of 26 and also throughout 27, right? Um, I will also pull up over time, there's cycles within cycles. I wouldn't expect us to follow this, you know, um, perfectly or anything like that. So it could change. I could maybe do a 5 year one or a 10 year one and so on. But the 20 year one has been pretty solid as of right now. Um, so let's see if there is a low that comes in September on PBR. But if not, it still doesn't beat the fact of the TA here, right? You just hide everything of this monthly back test in the zone, right? Of $16. All right. Um, that could have been a monthly higher low, but then it engulfed last month. All right. So higher time frame, like I said, it's how I like to do things. It's in a very potentially a very good area here. All right. On a higher time frame basis, PBR. All right. HCC Warrior Met Coal. So I now have a little bit going on here. So um, let me hide this really quick. So current price action, right, since like December of last year or January of this year, you could put a box here of a choppy range. Okay. So these colorful boxes above here, right, purple, orange, yellow, and then red, those are the ranges, just the range copy and pasted above each other. So range extensions. All right. Because you can go test it out for yourself. Look in the past of certain charts where you see a good range, copy and paste that range to the downside or the upside, and you'll see that it tends to follow pretty well. Um, so there's that. So that's there's range extensions above, right? And then there's these green and red boxes I have here. So these are basic seasonality periods. Because if we look at seasonality for this stock, can this refresh? Pretty please. Oh my goodness. All right, let me just go here. How did it load? Okay, there we go. So we're in August now. July was actually a pretty good month. Actually closed right now. But we see here that August is a 50-50% positive and negative month. But then September, October, November, December, January are all above 60%. They're all above 65% chance of closing positive. So it's entering a stronger historically seasonality period, right? So that's what these green boxes are showing, right? Just strong seasonality periods. Um, and going back since inception, right back to 2017, 2018, these seasonality periods, um, there's been what, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine of these, and only two were bad periods, right? Red. The other seven closed green, right? From July to January, right? And looking at the previous two midterm years, right? So 22 and 2018, right? So right here, it actually went up into March of that, or sorry, post midterm year, right? Yeah, post midterm. We're in midterm years. So post midterm year of that previous midterm year, it went up. It went up longer. It went up into that Yeah, Q1 of the following year. All right, 2018 year, and we're in a midterm year now. Then we'll go into post midterm. So if this is going to be a good um, seasonality period, then the average and median is like 57 and 67%. 67%, oddly enough, from the July low, would literally put you at the first range extension, right? So there's confluence there. That's around $126, right? Um, yeah, if it goes up into Q1 of post midterm year, um, well, there's other range extensions up there if the price action does do its thing, right? And I have trend lines coming up here. I know maybe it's a little bit hard to see, but if I go to the weekly trends, they're not perfect trend lines, right? They're just getting areas of interest, right? Where there's either been areas of support or resistance, right? Just going across. That's it. That's all it is. So HCC, pretty interesting chart. I like this one a lot, actually, and I do hold this and hold a few other things that we've gone over in this video. XOP monthly chart. Just forgetting everything here, you could just have one setup on this chart and enter a trade, right? A monthly, multi-year inverse head and shoulders, right? Left shoulder here, head, and then right shoulder. And now off of that right shoulder, potentially looks like a monthly bull flag, right? Or consolidation um, above this 156 area or mid 150s, right? That's been previous resistance, and now it's back testing that. So very strong, but bullish pattern there. 5 year cycle, I believe it's 5 year cycle. Um, Let me go to the weekly. Actually, probably see it better. Yeah, ain't perfect, but not bad. Just shows August 17th. Interesting because that's when the USO could potentially find a low, or that's at least what it's showing as well. Again, confluence, same sectors. Um, and after the August low, it points up strongly into next summer, June. Okay, and there was a bigger monthly, pennant here, and now on the daily chart, there's potentially like another flag or pennant here that is trying to form that could potentially break out to the upside. Going back to the monthly really quick, the blue cycles here, monthly cycles, not perfect but not bad. Um, this finds a potential turning point in August, right? And last month of July, it had an engulfing candle. So maybe a low came in on XOP. Right, pretty simple there. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. um, yeah, so my top picks. If anyone looks at my trading, I'll be like, holy shit. Um, are you managing risk, my friend? Because I'm really I'm in energy. I actually sold my gold the other day off of this rally it's had because I think it could be more choppy. I think there will be another chance at getting a good price on gold to swing trade right on the long side. That probably maybe later, in a couple months, Q4. If not, it is what it is. Um, yes, I'm no trade, right? Maybe a short trade, and if it hits the lower 8,000s. But I'm just long right now energy, USO, HCC, PBR, and XOP. I was in BRK and close out as well Friday, yesterday, because it could be approaching some resistance and it could be going into a little bit of a choppy period for a couple months before it really goes for a breakout. And I could be wrong on that too, and that's okay. But so far, so good. So yeah, thank you for tuning into today's video, guys. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Do your own research, and hopefully you learned something new here today. Thank you. Peace.